Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Crispy Kareem. I come here to get things off my chest. I talk about things that are going on, just what my opinions on them. And apparently you listen because you want to hear something from me. So welcome. If you like this, subscribe, share, leave a comment. Or if you don't like it, share it ironically. And maybe send it to someone you hate and punish them by forcing them to listen to my opinions. Anyway, so in this video, I want to talk about Insulate Britain because it's been controversial today as of filming on Wednesday, the 13th of October 2021. And it has also been trending on Twitter a few times in the last 2 weeks, and I want to talk about it because I have some thoughts to add to the whole situation that I think are worth bringing up. So, as we've said, they've been trending. The reason we've been seeing them trending is because they've been doing controversial stuff. And what kind of controversial stuff exactly have they been doing? Well, they've been blocking roads, mainly in London and the M25. They've been causing disruption. And that's generally what activism is supposed to do. Revolutionary stuff is supposed to cause disruption. I mean, it's anyone who's just been around activism or studied some kind of political change in their um, educational academic career, they will know that there has to be an element of disruptiveness. It's kind of inevitable, but obviously I think they crossed the line with the most people when they blocked that ambulance on Wandsworth Bridge in southwest London. And there were rumors going around that the woman who was in that ambulance actually died or was left permanently paralyzed. I really wish I googled this before I searched, so I'm going to pause the recording. So I just did a quick Google search. I don't know if I went in deep enough, but I think there were just rumors that the woman was dead or paralyzed. But regardless, an ambulance was delayed, and they refused to move until people dragged them off the road, and that's awful, and that crosses a red line. That is really a really crap thing to do. But I kind of get the whole, and I'm gonna come back to this whole what I think of that in a second. But it's also important to introduce who Insulate Britain is. And in fact, I wouldn't have actually known about them if they hadn't done this. And I went and Googled them myself, which is kind of where you can understand why they're doing this in the first place. So, Insulate Britain are a group. They're campaigning for the UK government to properly insulate homes so that we stop losing excess heat to poor insulation as a way of cutting carbon emissions as a result of heating. Demand 1. The UK government immediately promises to fully fund and take responsibility for the installation of all social housing in Britain by 2025. Demand 2. The UK government immediately promises to produce within 4 months a legally binding national plan to fully fund and take responsibility for the full low energy and low carbon whole house retrofits with no externalised costs of all homes in Britain by 2030 as part of a just transition to a full decarbonisation of all parts of society and the economy. The UK has some 29 million homes, and they are the oldest and least energy-efficient housing stock in Europe. Every year, vast amounts of precious energy are wasted in heating and increasingly cooling our buildings. Nearly 15% of the UK's total emissions come from heating homes. An overhaul of the energy performance of the UK's housing stock is needed to reduce the energy demand. As you can see, those are the statistics that define their campaign. You can read more about it on their website, which I will link in the description box below. But going back to the whole strategy, so they're blocking roads. It pisses people off. That's understandable. No one wants to be caught in traffic. I've been to Beirut, so I've been caught in my fair share of traffic. I been in my dad when he drives in central London, more traffic experience. Need I say more? It's inconvenience. It pisses us off naturally, and I get that. But I also get this need to like create clout. It's like you really can't, because a lot of these social causes, they don't get attention unless they're being really controversial. There was also a lot of brainstorming that went into this. They don't just suddenly decide to come out onto the roads and block motorists. There's a lot of brainstorming that goes into that kind of thing. So, I think there's more reasoning than we think, just a bunch of lunatics acting like idiots. And it's a good short-term plan. I don't think in the long term it will be good, because the thing is, like, beyond cloud, it doesn't get anything done. You have to eventually target the government. You just need to get the attention first. And as I said, I didn't know who Insulate Britain were before. I didn't really know much about the problem they were highlighting. I've heard it talked about vaguely before, but I didn't really know about it as much until now. And I have followed them on Twitter, so who know? You know, I think there could be other people who are like, okay, yeah, they've been disruptive. They've caused me a late delay. But I get why they're doing it. So just don't. Eventually, you got to stop doing disrupting motorists. Start disrupting politicians' lives and get your campaign on their agenda. Um, I think a lot of people have been saying, well, why can't they do something a bit less annoying to us to make us like them? And it's because, well, I think one video that's been highlighted by both LBC and Politics for All on Twitter has been this woman in her SUV, and she's with her 11-year-old son, and she's being all, I'm trying to get my son to school, and you're blocking me, and the kid's like standing out of the car, and I don't know what he was saying, but apparently he wasn't being very nice.
My son is 11, he needs to get to school today. So move out of the way and let me get my son to school. I'm trying to bring it.
That starts the whole argument about SUVs. And given that most of their protests have been in London, you can kind of understand why people might be a bit judgmental about them owning SUVs in a place that has an air pollution problem and narrow, windy roads. Why would you want such an obnoxiously large car? I think it's kind of rich of you to complain about congestion and disruption when you own such a big car in where it's not useful. And I think it's important to highlight like just how awful SUVs are. Like, I'm gonna link the article that Ash Sarkar talked about, but she tweeted something as well, and what she said was 74% of SUVs are registered to owners in cities. The largest class of SUV models, 6 of the 10 areas registering the most sales were rich London boroughs, including Kensington and Chelsea, and 1 in 10 private cars registered in Kensington and Chelsea were Range Rovers, the highest in the country. And so, because they're the kind of people that are mostly being disrupted, I think they're the ones that are being claimed that, well, maybe if they did something a bit nicer, we'd be more sympathetic. But I don't think you would, because you have an SUV, you have a massive petrol guzzling, more polluting car that's unnecessarily big. It's just a way of displaying your wealth, and it's pointless. You don't need that in London. It's stupid. And the fact is, you have other choices. You have public transport. You have more eco-friendly cars, and you chose that. So, I don't think if they'd done something nicer, they'd be more sympathetic, because I think it has to reflect in other parts of your lifestyle as well. So, sorry, but that's how I see it. But those are my opinions on Insulate Britain. You may say something else, like, oh, Kelly, you're such a libtard twat, and you say stupid things, and go back to your country, you stupid racial slur, Islamophobic slur, blah, 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 blah. I just want to add something that happened between yesterday when I filmed the original video and now, which is that a lot of people are talking about like how, oh, the police should like forcefully remove the protesters and be violent towards them and arrest them for blocking the roads, and maybe there are laws against, you know, public nuisance and stuff, but the thing is, it's still a violation of free speech. And when I pointed that out, a lot of people seemed comfortable in saying, "Oh, if they tried that in Lebanon, you see what would happen? They would, or in the Middle East, because they look at my bow and they know I'm from Lebanon." So I just want to say something. First of all, don't lecture me about like human rights and freedom in my own country. I know how bad the situation is. I don't need you telling me this and that. I don't need your stupid lectures, okay? Stay in your lane. Okay? Because you don't lecture me about freedom. Especially when number two, you're calling for the police to have the same powers to do this to protesters in the UK because you don't like being inconvenienced. Like, oh, I got held up in traffic, so we need more police powers so that we can drive on and no one has free speech and no one gives a about climate change and okay, just reflect on that. What a hypocrite you are, a racist hypocrite. But we're a free society. I can say what I want. It's not like I said something wildly offensive. You know, unless you find don't buy SUVs when you live in a big city, or don't block ambulances for a political cause, even if something as big as climate change. But that, if you find that offensive, then cry me a river. But this is my channel. If you like it, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I hopefully I can upload more videos. Have a nice time on YouTube. Or maybe get off YouTube because you realised you're too deep into your addiction and somehow it got you to this channel.